Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome to the Judo Recovery Skills Group and our webinar. I have with me Lizzie, who's one of our auxiliary workers, social workers. So we're going to start the session with the serenity prayer. Let's pray. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Okay, so our topic for today is relapse justification. What is relapse justification? So when patients come into treatment, they develop a personal recovery plan, they identify the triggers, they identify the threats, they look at what are the safe places as well and safe people in their life. So when they leave the treatment program to and be reintegrated back into community, into their families, they implement those personal recovery plans. Things go well, they're feeling good, family is happy, they're implementing everything that's on their plan. However, the brain is still healing. So it's almost like the brain, after a while, says, I want to find that reward again. You know, things are going well, and the brain will start justifying and making justifications as to why I can use again. So it is the distance between abstinence and relapse. That is what happens in the brain. So patients try to justify why they put themselves in certain situations when they leave. So Lizzie, what's your view of that? What do you want to say with regards to that, with relapse justification?
Okay, thank you, Jay. The relapse justification, as you also mentioned, when the patients come in, sometimes they be like, everything is okay, then they're gonna go outside. But because of some issues that have not resolved, was firstly the patient, when they're in the facility or when they're in the treatment, they need to be honest with themselves. Whatever issues that they have, they must deal with the issues. Because when they go outside, they may be like, say, okay, not, for example, for not talking about the issues or trying to resolve the issues, communicating whatever issues that they have. When they go outside, they may get back to the old habits. That means going back to use again. They will justify. They will say, because I'm stressed, I'm gonna use again. Because maybe I lost my job, I'm gonna use again.
Yeah.
Because they are stressed because of certain things that they are stressed about. They end up using again. So these are the things that they need to deal with when they are in the recovery, they are in the treatment center. Like, so resolving their issues, talking about their issues, so that when they go outside, they'll be ready for the outside world. Okay?
So I think related to that is identifying people, places, products that are high risk and that they generally use as justification. As you said, they stress us, what would make them want to go back to those high risk situations and environments. And I think what's important for families and patients to know is that they need to identify what those areas or circumstances are and come up with a scenario or a solution on a way forward on dealing with those justifications. So, for example, if you know that your mom and dad are going to put pressure on you because of boundaries, and you know that that's going to be a reason, you know what, I'm bored at home, I want to go out, that's going to be your justification. Come up with a solution, and maybe as a family, we need to discuss what these justifications and come up with a solution or a plan with regards to that. Because Lizzie, I just want to point out something, and I don't know what's your experience of this, but relapse does not come out of the blue.
Yes.
You know that we have patients and we have contact with people who have relapsed in the past, because this is a disease of the brain and it is a relapsing disease. But what's your view of the relapse process? And do you think that it happened out of the blue with patients that came back, or what's your view of that?
Okay, the relapse doesn't just come out of the blue.
Mm-hmm.
The patients, when they are admitted, we do different sessions in order for them to realize what can be the challenges outside. Everything that the patient do or people do starts in their mind. That's why we say they must have the support system. When they're facing any challenge, they must contact they must communicate with the support system. We also make sure that our patients, when they leave here, we give them our contact so that they will be able to communicate with us. Because, as I've said, the relapse starts in your mind. We also educate them on how to deal with the negative thoughts that will come into their mind. How can they deal with the negative thoughts? How can they change their mindsets? And also they must be able to admit when they have problems.
Right.
They must admit that I have the problem, what to do from now on. When that craving comes into their minds, what they must do, Yeah.
Correct. So you're right. Relapse does not happen out of the blue.
Yes.
It starts with the mind. It starts with the thought,
Yes.
because thought leads to feelings, and feelings lead to action. And depending on how you deal with that process, you would either relapse or find a way forward. And recovery can be all the more exciting and beneficial if we identify these things and if we look at how to deal with these thought stopping techniques. So, thought stopping techniques. This is something that we do quite often in the psychosocial sessions, where we, together with the patients, we explore different thought-stopping techniques and automatic negative thoughts. It's about replacing those negative thoughts with something positive. So some of the things that we do is serenity prayer, obviously, affirmations, the rubber band, encouraging people to be able to recognize the thought, stop it, and replace that with something positive. And other thought stopping techniques, Lizzie, that we use.
And also the other thought techniques that we use is that when that negative thoughts come into your mind, as we also mentioned, the serenity prayer, also, this comes back to the question, do you have something that is motivating you to change?
Yeah, exactly.
What's motivating you to change? If you are married, maybe your kids can be your motivation into your recovery. Think about your kids. If I'm taking this decision, how is it going to affect my family? Because this is my support system. These are the people that are very important into my life.
Yeah, correct. Correct.
Yes.
So it's implementing the thought stopping techniques, being able to take those 2 steps back, right? And remembering or going back to your safe place. Not everything out there is a threat or a trigger. We also have our safe place, and I think together with the families, we need to explore what those safe places are. It does not have to be a physical place. It could be when you have this thought in your mind, to be able to take the 2 steps back, could be breathing in and out, saying the serenity prayer, and perhaps safe place could be visualizing the ocean, if that's your safe place. Or it depends on what your safe place is. Just visualizing what your safe place is and going to that place to be able to think, reflect, and change the thought. And in that thinking space, it's about remembering what your motivation is. As you said, um, why am I doing this? Do I want to go back to the past? If I do this, what's going to happen? Because remember, these relapse justifications are very strong voices in our head that actually says, you can do it. We need that little bit of excitement. And then it's about living smarter. Because when these justifications come, sometimes we feel that we are confident enough to deal with it. It's okay for us to go spend time with those friends, and we just make all sorts of excuses and justifications as to why we can handle this. But that's why, Lizzie, I think from my side, families play a big role with regards to this. Because patients sometimes are not able to rationally think about this. And I just feel families need to be aware of changes in their behavior, changes in their moods, and if they recognize this, I think it's important that they take steps to addressing that. Because they are the ones that are watching. They are the ones that know when the schedule's going off track. They are the ones that are knowing whether your emotions are actually going up and down as well. So I think that's where the family communication and family time plays a role. And families can play a role and say, hey, you know what? I noticed something's not okay. Perhaps, as you said earlier, the support system is important. Call the support system, call anyone, Julo, whoever your support is. Let's discuss this, or perhaps maybe we need to just do something different for the week or weekend. So, Lizzie, do you feel that families play an important role, and in what way?
The families in recovery play a big role. That's why we always encourage the families to be involved in the recovery. Because in our program, we're not only focusing on the patient individually, we also include the family. The family cannot support the patient if they do not understand what the patient is went through. They need to understand what the patient is went through. That's why here we used to have the Saturday sessions whereby the families also attend and learn more of what the patient has went through.
Correct.
And also that's why we also, the social worker, always contact the families to get the history of where the patient is coming from, and also we learn to how to support the patient, because the patient spend most of the time with the family. So that even when the families, when they identify any change in the patient, they can be able to contact us. So the support of the family is very important.
Yes, that's correct. Right. So the other thing is that how to deal with holidays, how to deal with promotions, how to deal with special occasions. I think that's something that we need to be aware of. And one of the questions I had from someone this morning is that if there's a catastrophic event could be, in this person's case, is my mom is terminally ill with cancer, and if she has to pass away, I'm going to relapse. Okay. So that catastrophic event will create negative emotions, and the brain is used to dealing with these negative emotions. How? By using substances or finding a way of dealing with the negative emotions by filling that part of the brain in a negative way that caused the problems in the first place. So those are kind of things that I feel people need to be aware of. And what this person asked was, how do I deal with that? Okay. So, Lizzie, any thoughts from your side with regards to that?
Okay, this comes back to admitting, firstly, the life will never be perfect. There's always going to be problems that you're going to face outside. There's always going to be challenges. But the question is, how do you deal with the challenges? How do you tackle the challenges that you're going to face along the way? Because recovery is a journey. In this journey, there's a lot of challenges that you're going to face along the way. So, for an example, this question, Jay, about losing a parent, that's going to be stressful to the patient.
Absolutely.
That's going to be stressful to the patient. What it's going to do, we can maybe get back to the old ways of dealing with the stress. That's why we teach them here how to the ways of dealing with the stress. What they're going to do when they are stressed. Firstly, is to admit that they have a problem. The problem that they have, from now on, what can be the solution? Losing a parent sometimes can affect the parent, the patient financially. When facing the financial problems, who to contact? It's good to admit the problem and admit it so that you're going to have way forward. What is the positive way of dealing with these challenges that I'm facing? How we can affect my recovery, the decision that I'm going to take, because accepting the things that you cannot change is very important.
Correct.
Yes.
And acknowledging your feelings and emotions.
Yes.
I think that's important. It doesn't mean that you're in recovery, that you're not going to feel sad, or you're not going to feel upset, you're not going to get angry. We're all human beings, and I think we all will have those emotions, but it's how we deal with that that's important. So in this case, you know that your mom is experiencing a terminal illness. Okay, it's about making peace with her, with the past issues, but actually being there for her right now. And when the time comes, obviously it is going to be stressful, but you need to go through the grieving process. I think that it's important to grieve, it's important to acknowledge your negative emotions. It's okay to be upset, it's okay to cry, it's okay to do all of that, but we need to move on from that negative emotions at some point. We can't be stuck in there. And therefore, it's important to contact a professional, to contact someone, a support system that will be able to assist you through that grieving process. So that there's someone neutral that will be able to show you what, to guide you through the process as well. Okay? So we need to identify what areas are we more vulnerable for relapse. So for example, from positives to negative emotions, but also one of the common challenges that people face is that they're probably living in areas where the drug merchants and chalets are around the corner, or friends are just around the corner. So those are things that they can plan for. They can plan for that. But the catastrophic event is something that you can't really foresee, but it's having something in place that will guide you through the process as well. Any questions, Jonathan, from your side? Any questions?
No questions, John. No questions, John. I think that's maybe just, one of the things that people, guys in early recovery, they go through. Sometimes they feel when they have a slip and they try to justify their actions and why this happened. I think, it's time for them to step back and identify, okay, fine, what did go wrong? What happened? And in order for them to know about, to get past that slip, they need to establish what really made me fall down and work on that. Because remember, what you let persist will carry on to be prevalent in your life going forward, in your recovery life going forward. So thing. Maybe just elaborate a little bit more. Help is always on the other side.
Yes. So, when patients come in, they relapse, you write down, I think it's important for them to reflect on what happened, but not only reflect on the event. I think what's important is also to reflect on your own thought processes. What happened with the families? What did you notice? Did you notice a change in their behavior? Did you notice a change in their emotions? With the patient, were you getting irritable, restless, agitated? And what was the event? What were you saying to yourself at that time? And actually finding solutions on how to deal with those things for future references as well.
Okay. Also, another thing that the patients need not to forget about. They will never change the environment in which they come from, because they may have a lot of justification for them to relapse.
Correct.
They won't change the environment in which they are coming from. They will never change the families that they are coming from. The only person that they can change is only themselves. You can only change yourself when you know what you want in your life, when you know your ambitions. Where do you want to be in years to come? Do you have any goals? Having something, as also we've mentioned, that having something that is motivating you. Okay, where you want to be, what are your goals? What do you want to be in your life? In order for you to be wherever you want to be, what do you need? So it's good to have the direction in life. These are the most important values that the patient can use. Respecting yourselves. It means also not go against your values, not going against your goals that you've planned. What is important also about the plan? The plans need to be written something down. They need to see like every day, every time, where do you want to be? Because along the way, they may forget about their plans. Okay?
Right. So those personal recovery plans are something that patients get with them when they leave the inpatient program, and I think families can sit together with the patient, discuss the plan, and maybe review it once a week or every alternate day. But families need to be part of that recovery plan as well. And I think also in terms of goals, we have vision boards. Those are things that we can put up so that we know which direction we're going in. And again, I think it's important for us to encourage our children to do those vision boards. Because I find that there's so many young people we have that actually don't know what they want out of life. And their goal is just getting a driver's license. But they can't see beyond that.
I think to take that, having individuals and kids as a family as well, to build up a stronger family base. It's nice for them to sit down together and have their own family vision, where they want to go in 5 years, in 10 years, what they want to do. These are things that that will build stronger relationships. We always talk about mutual loving relationships and relationships with sustenance and the meaty part of it. And this is such a good exercise for moms, dads, children to all sit down together, and draft up these little things. It's nice to have those visions, because having faith about things that's going to happen, it gives one the clarity.
It gives you the clarity. And it's recognizing that we are all individuals and that we have our own individual goals and ambitions, but then we still a family unit, and together as a family, we also have a united vision as well. So it's like building a machine. We used to do this in psychodrama. And each family member represents a different part of the machine. And each part of that machine has its own a responsibility, has its own tasks, has its own thing to do in order to make that machine work. But if any part of that machine is not working anymore, if it falls away, the entire machine is going to collapse and it's not going to work. But that's exactly what being in a family unit is about. That we have our own individual direction or individual visions and goals, and together, if we discuss it, talk about it, communicate, we can move forward, right? But if any family member is not is not functioning properly in the sense that there's no communication, is going in different directions, that machine is not actually going to work effectively. You remember that exercise?
Yeah, I know that exercise. That's a very important exercise because in a family, if one person is got a problem, and especially if that problem is not communicated amongst the family, it's going to affect everyone.
Right.
So the communication is very important in the family.
Yeah. And then it just brings the whole system down.
Yeah.
So the message to all family members and to patients is that we're not in this alone. We're not in this in isolation. We need to work together as a team, and the team is you, is your family, is Judo Center, is your support system. But we need to work as a team in order to move and fulfill our life's goals and directions. Okay.
So maybe something just to leave them with, cut off since we come to the end of our session.
Okay, just a quick thing for the weekend. Remember, keep safe, social distance, masking is important. Like our Facebook page as well, because these videos are uploaded on Facebook. But just as a take-home task for those that are watching, I would like you to identify your specific relapse justification situations and create a script on dealing with that. And please feel free to communicate with either of us by WhatsApp or telephone, and we can discuss these things further. If you have further questions, please communicate with us so we can address it on these webinars as well. You see?
Okay, what I would like to say now, as we are about to close, to encourage our patients, relapse justification. If you've got any problem, you're facing any problem in your recovery, what is important? Communicate. If your family is there, communicate with them. It happens sometimes that our families are not there in our recovery, but it's very important to have a support system, communicate with your issue, whatever issue that you have, so that you don't want to be stressed alone. Because in life, we don't live in isolation. We also need other people to support us in our recovery. So let's make use of our families. Let's communicate more with them. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. And we'll see you on Tuesday for our next webinar.
Yes.
Thank you.